Cuba isn't just a Caribbean island of white sand beaches, classic cars, and lively music. It's also a country with one of the most fascinating and turbulent histories in the Americas. From the independence hero José Marti in the 19th century, to the revolutionary struggles of the 1950s, and the Cuba you see today, this story has shaped not only the island itself, but also its role on the world stage. In this video, we're going to explore the history of Cuba from José Marti to the present day, and show you how that history is still alive in the streets, plazas, and culture that visitors experience every day. Our story begins with José Marti, Cuba's great national hero. Marti was a poet, a journalist, and above all, a revolutionary thinker who believed Cuba deserved independence from Spain. His words and writings captured the soul of the Cuban people. In 1895, Marti returned to Cuba to join the fight, but he was killed in battle just weeks later. Despite his death, his dream inspired others to continue. After years of conflict, and with U.S. involvement in the Spanish-American War of 1898, Spain finally surrendered control. By 1902, Cuba was officially independent, but independence came with strings attached, especially from the United States, which quickly took on a powerful role in Cuba's politics and economy. Marti never lived to see a free Cuba, but his vision still echoes across the island today. If you visit Havana, you can't miss his image, statues, murals, and even the massive José Marti Memorial that towers over Revolution Square. In the decades that followed, Cuba was full of contrasts. On one hand, the sugar industry brought wealth, and Havana developed a reputation as a glamorous destination. By the 1920s and 1930s, it was called the Paris of the Caribbean, a place of grand hotels, jazz clubs, and sparkling nightlife. For wealthy visitors, it was a paradise. But for everyday Cubans, the picture was different. Much of the land was controlled by U.S. companies. Poverty and inequality were widespread, and political instability simmered beneath the surface. When you walk through Havana today, you can still see that era in the architecture: elegant Art Deco buildings, restored old hotels like the famous Hotel Nacional, and wide boulevards that recall the city's golden age. But the tensions of that period were already setting the stage for revolution. In 1952, a military officer named Fulgencio Batista seized power in a coup. Batista's government was authoritarian and deeply corrupt. American mafia groups built casinos, cabarets, and nightclubs in Havana. Money flowed into luxury hotels and gambling halls, while ordinary Cubans were left behind. For many Cubans, enough was enough. That's when a young lawyer named Fidel Castro stepped into history. Alongside him were revolutionary figures like Ernesto Che Guevara and Camilo Cienfuegos. They launched a guerrilla campaign from the Sierra Maestra Mountains in the east. After years of fighting, the revolution succeeded. On January 1, 1959, Batista fled the island, and Fidel Castro and his rebels marched triumphantly into Havana. The Cuban Revolution had begun, and it would change everything. If you stand in Havana's Revolution Square today, you'll see the giant mural of Che Guevara on the Ministry of the Interior building. It's a reminder of the moment when Cuba's path shifted from old corruption to radical change. After 1959, Fidel Castro turned to socialism and aligned with the Soviet Union. He nationalized industries, redistributed land, and introduced universal healthcare and free education. For many Cubans, these were life-changing improvements. But Castro's policies also brought Cuba into direct conflict with the United States. In 1961, Cuban exiles backed by the U.S. tried to overthrow the government at the Bay of Pigs. The invasion failed, strengthening Castro's grip on power. Just 1 year later, in 1962, the world came dangerously close to nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Soviet Union had installed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida. After tense negotiations, the missiles were withdrawn, but Cuba had cemented its role as a key player in the Cold War. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Cuba lost its main source of support. The 1990s became known as the Special Period, a time of extreme economic hardship. Food shortages were common, electricity blackouts swept the island, and people had to rely on ingenuity just to survive. Yet, through resilience and resourcefulness, Cuba endured. Today, Cuba is a country shaped by its revolutionary past but also opening itself to a new future. Decades of U.S. sanctions continue to make life difficult, but tourism has become one of the island's lifelines. Visitors today can stroll through Old Havana, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with its cobblestone streets and colorful colonial buildings. You can sit in the bar where Ernest Hemingway once sipped his daiquiris, ride in a classic 1950s car along the Malecon, or enjoy world-class beaches in Varadero. What's striking for travelers is how much history you can feel all around you. Those classic cars? They're not just tourist attractions, they're a symbol of Cuba's ability to keep moving forward with limited resources. The vibrant music and street art? They reflect both Cuba's African and Spanish roots and the creativity of its people. And everywhere you go, you'll see symbols of national pride, murals of José Marti, Che Guevara, and Fidel Castro. Whether you agree with their politics or not, they remain central to Cuban identity. Modern Cuba is complicated. On one hand, you'll meet warm, welcoming people, hear incredible music, and see stunning landscapes. On the other hand, you'll notice the economic challenges, from shortages of goods to crumbling infrastructure. But it's exactly this blend of beauty, struggle, and resilience that makes Cuba such a unique destination. So, as you explore Cuba today, whether you're walking through the streets of Havana, relaxing on Varadero's beaches, or sitting with locals who share stories of their lives, you're not just visiting a travel destination. You're experiencing a country where history is alive in every plaza, every mural, every song. From José Marti's dream of independence, to Fidel Castro's revolution, to today's Cuba navigating the 21st century, this island remains one of the most fascinating and resilient stories in the Americas. If you enjoyed this journey through Cuba's history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more travel stories, and share it with someone planning a trip. And tell us in the comments, what part of Cuba's story fascinates you the most?